Western Spring Television. Ours it is.
Here are the top stories of the news. Supreme Court temporarily stops federal government from banning use of old naira notes from February 10th. National Security Advisor expresses confidence in security agencies ahead of general election. On the foreign scene, rescuers search for survivors in Turkey after a huge earthquake passes 9,500. Good afternoon and welcome to Spring News at 12 on Western Spring Television. My name is Evelyn Ohiole. Now the news in detail. The Supreme Court has temporarily halted the move by the federal government to ban the use of the old naira notes from February 10th, 2023. A 7-member panel led by Justice John Okoro halted the move of the federal government in a ruling in an ex parte application brought by 3 northern states of Kaduna, Kogi and Zamfara. Moving the application, counsel to the applicants had urged the Apex Court to grant the application in the interest of justice and the well-being of Nigeria. It stated that the policy of the government had led to an excruciating situation that is almost leading to anarchy in the land. Justice Okoro adjourned to February 15th, 2023 for hearing of the main suit. In Ogun State, following the protests that rocked Abeokuta, the state capital, yesterday over cash crunch, Governor Dapo Abiodun has called on the protesters to stop and allow the outcome of his engagement with the Bankers Forum and the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, to yield fruits. Governor Abiodun, who made this known during the statutory meeting of the Council of Obas at the Obas Complex Okemosan, Abeokuta, noted that the CBN is doing its best to arrest the situation. The governor said the matter was being discussed at the highest level with President Muhammadu Buhari and the CBN governor, Godwin Emefiele, to resolve the crisis. While calling for calm, the governor said the voices of the protesters had been heard loud and clear. Governor Abiodun further said it is disheartening to see bank buildings being vandalized and people resorting to violence to register their displeasure. One person was injured during the protest in several parts of Abeokuta yesterday.
You should please help us manage this situation. Our people will listen to you, they will trust you, they will believe you. Because unlike us, you are not politicians. You are not tenured, you are tenured by life. Please help us intervene. Ogun State has always had a record of managing our problems in a very different way. When we had NSAS, we remained the most peaceful state across the length and breadth of this country. And I do not have a doubt that that same manner in which we manage ourselves during NSAS, we will also do so during this period. And this crisis will not last, God willing. So I want to plead with our KBCs to help us intervene in this situation, knowing fully well that we are doing everything we can to ensure that we bring this situation under control.
In a related development, Kaduna State Governor Nasiru El-Rufai has appealed for calm following the crisis caused by the new naira note scarcity. Governor El-Rufai, who met with the leadership of the Kaduna State Markets Traders Association, urged residents to ignore calls for protests in the interest of public security. The governor spoke in Kaduna following what he said was the uncovering of a plan for a mass protest in the state against the February 10th naira swap deadline. It directed traders to ignore the deadline and continue trading in the old notes without taking their old notes to the bank for a swap. The governor criticized the timing of the naira redesign policy, describing it as a deliberate conspiracy to incite people against the APC and democracy. He assured that legal means were being explored in tandem with other state governments towards relieving the present suffering.
I'm here to speak to you as leaders of our markets and our traders to explain to you what the real agenda is and to try to propose some solutions that we have thought about. We have done the best we can. Why are we expected to change 3 trillion in a matter of weeks? And then you print only 300 billion worth of notes. Unless you want to create a crisis, why would you do that? Only 34% of Nigerians have bank accounts.
The Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, ICPC, says it has arrested officials of the Abuja head office of Sterling Bank over 258 million naira new notes stashed in the bank's vault. In a statement, the commission said the regional and service managers of the bank were arrested on Friday. The ICPC, however, said the 2 managers have been granted administrative bail while the investigation continues. The commission also said several arrests were made in separate operations linked to the naira scarcity across the country. In Nasarawa, the head of operations of Keystone Bank in Mararaba was arrested for frustrating its customers at getting the new naira notes. In another development, the commission said its operatives arrested one Abdukarim Shuaibo, a security guard with the Zenith Bank branch located at the 3rd Avenue in Gwarimpa, Abuja, for possessing 5 ATM cards. Mr. Shuaibo was said to have used the ATM cards to withdraw cash for persons who were not within the bank premises at the time. In the meantime, amidst the shortage of naira notes in the country, the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, has assured the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, that it would provide the commission with cash to pay for logistics in unbanked areas during the coming general elections. CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele told INEC Chairman Mahmood Yakubu yesterday that the bank would support the commission in ensuring a credible election. Mr. Yakubu visited the CBN to demand for more cash above the recently placed withdrawal limit to pay for logistics in unbanked communities. In response, Mr. Emefiele promised to provide all support needed by INEC as it had done in the past. It said the CBN will not allow itself to be used or seen as an agent sabotaging a positive outcome of the elections. For over a week, shortage of the cash has put Nigerians who need it in severe hardship. This is as a result of the CBN's attempt to mop out old naira notes and introduce redesigned notes of 200 naira, 500 naira and 1,000 naira into the economy.
In view of the recent policy involving the redesign of some denominations of our national currency and the limits placed on cash withdrawals and availability, we consider this meeting important in addressing some of the areas of concern with just 17 days to the 2023 general election.
The central bank will not allow itself either to be used or itself to be, central bank to be seen as an agent that frustrated a positive outcome of that election. And if in this case, after making your electronic payments, you require some money to pay transporters, in this case cash, the assurance I give to you is that we will make it available.
Meanwhile, National Security Advisor Babangana Munguno says he has confidence in security agencies to ensure the forthcoming elections hold in a secure atmosphere. Major General Munguno spoke during a meeting with Chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, who visited his office in Abuja. The NSA said the meeting was convened due to the apprehension and uncertainty over the 2023 general elections. Also speaking, the INEC chairman thanked the NSA for its assurance, adding that the commission is aware that additional security has been deployed to the commission's facilities nationwide. Of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Atiku Abubakar, says it will ensure a smooth exploration of petroleum resources in the northeast if elected. In the Kolmani River region, at the border community between Bauchi and Gombe states. And in 2022, President Muhammadu Buhari flagged off the first drilling project in the area. Speaking during the PDP presidential campaign rally in Bauchi, Mr. Abubakar also said he will revive the rail lines connecting the northeast. He said this will make it easier to transport petroleum products from Gombe and Bauchi to other parts of the country. The PDP candidate also said he would invest in the empowerment of youths and women in order to discourage restiveness and other forms of antisocial behavior across the country.
I have also pledged that the petroleum resources that has been discovered between Bauchi and Gombe will be exploited and brought back to the benefit of the people. I have also pledged to make sure that our young men and women receive loans to set up their own small and medium enterprises for self-employment.
Moving to education, the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, JAM, said it cancelled the registrations of no fewer than 817 candidates that registered to sit for the 2023 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examinations and Direct Entry Examinations. The examination body said it made the decision owing to the discovery of certain infractions, such as use of strange biometrics during the registration process. Registrar of the examination body, Professor Ishak Oloyede, who cited some of the affected cases in a statement today, said some registration officers in the affected 178 computer-based test centers added their fingerprints to complete the registration process for the candidates. The former Vice-Chancellor of the University of Ilorin, however, mentioned that the 817 affected students would be given another opportunity to re-register for the exam, with the centers bearing the cost. You're watching Spring News at 12 on Western Spring Television. We'll be right back after this break.
It was a Euro-American trade in slaves by which 12.5 million Africans were captured from their indigenous homelands and transported via the Atlantic to Europe and the Americas. The transatlantic slave, also known as triangular trade, was the worst form of man's inhumanity to man and the most costly in human life of all long-distance global migrations. Hundreds of Africans chained tightly to plank beds in the belly of slave ships in horrific conditions were transported via the Atlantic and stripped of all human dignity on arrival in Europe and America. It is the greatest crime the Caucasians committed against the black race. It is impossible to discuss the transatlantic slave trade without a copious reference to impoverishment and underdevelopment of Africa and its peoples. The triangular trade left the continent in ruins. Western Spring Television identifies transatlantic slave trade as a watershed event in history. Aminatu, the legendary queen of Zazzau, is best known to historians as Queen Amina of Zaria, an old walled town and capital of the Hausa state of Zazzau. Amina was a great warrior and the first woman to rule the ancient kingdom of Zazzau. Her 34 years as queen witnessed an unprecedented expansion of Zazzau by conquests. Queen Amina of Zaria belongs to the class of Amazons by the might of her army and her strings of conquests. She opened Zaria to trans-border trade and was said to have initiated kola nut cultivation in the ancient kingdom. the Hausa Muslim figure, was born in 1533 and died in 1610 at the age of 77 years. Folklores remember Aminatu, the Queen of Zazau, as a brave, smart and talented leader whose giant statue now adorns the National Arts Theatre in Lagos, Nigeria, while many educational institutions bear her name. Western Spring Television identifies Queen Amina as a watershed character in history.
Welcome back. Moving on, Chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, is briefing the Federal Executive Council chaired by President Muhammadu Buhari at the State House, Abuja. The President's Special Advisor on Media and Publicity, Femi Adesina, announced this shortly after President Muhammadu Buhari arrived at the Council chamber before the meeting commenced proper. With only 16 days to the presidential elections, Professor Yakubu is expected to brief the Council on the Commission's readiness for the nationwide exercise. This comes 2 days before an emergency meeting of the Council of State to be convened by President Muhammadu Buhari on Friday to discuss the national crisis ensuing from the new naira and petrol scarcity, which has triggered pockets of protests nationwide. The federal government has inaugurated a security committee for the conduct of the 2023 census. National Security Advisor Babangana Munguno spoke at the inauguration of the 2023 Population and Housing Census Security and Logistic Committee, which held at the office of the National Security Advisor in Abuja. Major General Munguno said the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari has the desire to provide the nation with accurate and reliable demographic data for policy formulation and planning for sustainable development. He added that the exercise is also in line with President Buhari's desire to bequeath an enduring legacy of evidence-based planning for sustainable development. The NSA said due to the crucial and pivotal role credible and reliable census data plays in planning for sustainable development, the Security Committee is necessary as a first step toward ensuring the peaceful and smooth conduct of the census. For news outside of Nigeria, rescuers are desperately searching for survivors in southern Turkey and northern Syria after 2 huge earthquakes on Monday. More than 9,500 people are now known to have been killed, and there are warnings the death toll could continue to surge. Rescuers have spent a second freezing cold night searching for survivors under the rubble, but time is running out. Dramatic footage has emerged of a family of 6 being pulled alive from the rubble in the Syrian city of Idlib. Some international aid is reaching Syria, but access is limited because of damaged roads. The first 7.8 magnitude quake struck near Gaziantep in the early hours of Monday, followed by a 7.5 magnitude tremor hours later. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky will arrive in the United Kingdom today in his first visit since Russia's invasion of Ukraine last year. Downing Street said he would be holding meetings with Prime Minister Rishi Sunak and make a speech in Parliament. Downing Street has also announced that British training of Ukrainian forces will be expanded to cover fighter jet pilots and Marines. It is also expected the UK will announce fresh sanctions targeting Russia later. President Zelensky addressed British lawmakers in March last year, speaking virtually from Kyiv, the first time a foreign leader addressed lawmakers in the Commons chamber. In the United States, President Joe Biden has called on Republicans to help finish the job of delivering for hardworking families in his annual State of the Union address. The Democrats stressed the importance of bipartisanship to a divided Congress, where the lower chamber now has a Republican majority. He also vowed to defend U.S. sovereignty in the wake of an incursion by an alleged Chinese spy balloon. The speech was seen as a roadmap for a widely expected 2024 re-election bid. Mr. Biden's 73-minute address came as his public approval rating hovers near the lowest level of his presidency. The opposition party delivers a response to the President's State of the Union every year. Last night, the Republican rebuttal was given by Arkansas's governor, who accused Mr. Biden's government of being more preoccupied by woke fantasies than the hard reality Americans face every day.
Fellow Americans, we meet tonight at an inflection point, one of those moments that only a few generations ever face, where the direction we now take is going to decide the course of this nation for decades to come. We're not bystanders of history. We're not powerless before the forces that confront us. It's within our power of we, the people. We're facing the test of our time. We have to be the nation we've always been at our best, optimistic, hopeful, forward-looking, a nation that embraces light over dark, hope over fear, unity over division, stability over chaos. We have to see each other not as enemies, but as fellow Americans.
Zoom, the video conferencing company that became a household name when remote work spiked during the COVID pandemic, is laying off 1,300 staff. The move affects about 15% of its workforce, which has seen user growth slow and profits fall recently. Zoom boss Eric Yuan said he and other leaders would also take big pay cuts as the company focuses on making sure it can weather the slowdown. It is joining a large number of other tech firms making similar adjustments. More than 300 tech firms have reportedly laid off nearly 100,000 workers globally since the start of the year. Trade between the United States and China hit a record high last year, even as their diplomatic relations deteriorated. Official figures show that imports and exports between the two countries totaled $690.6 billion in 2022. Relations between the countries have hit new lows in recent days after a Chinese balloon traveled across the U.S. Beijing denies U.S. claims it was used for spying. The world's two biggest economies have also been in a trade war since 2018. Now let's talk sports. LeBron James has become the NBA's all-time leading scorer, passing Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's 39-year-old record. The 38-year-old Los Angeles Lakers star hit 38 points in a 133-130 defeat by the Oklahoma City Thunder to surpass Abdul-Jabbar's mark of 38,387. The scoring record in April 1984, 8 months before James was born. James, who needed 36 points to break the record, did so with a fadeaway jumper at the end of the third quarter, and he finished the match with a career total of 38,390. An emotional James rose both arms in celebration, while 75-year-old Abdul-Jabbar, who was at the match at the Lakers' home court, stood and applauded.
Looking for James. He's got it. Coming to the end of the third quarter. LeBron James, a shot at history. LeBron stands alone. The NBA's all-time scoring record now belongs to LeBron James.
scoring leader, number 6, LeBron James.
Turkish goalkeeper Ahmet Eyüp Takaslan has died following Monday's earthquake in his home country. His club, Yeni Malatyaspor, confirmed that he lost his life after being under the collapse of the earthquake. 28-year-old Takaslan played 6 times for Turkish second division club Yeni Malatyaspor after joining in 2021. Before we end the news, here is a recap of our top stories. The Supreme Court has temporarily halted the move by the federal government to ban the use of the old Naira notes from February 10, 2023. National Security Advisor Babangana Munguno says he has confidence in security agencies to ensure the forthcoming elections hold in a secure atmosphere. On the foreign scene, rescuers are desperately searching for survivors in southern Turkey and northern Syria after 2 huge earthquakes on Monday, with the death toll passing 9,500. Remember to follow us on our social media handles on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter at Western Spring Television. You can also watch us live on our YouTube channel at Western Spring Television. That ends Spring News at 12. I am Evelyn Ohiole. Thank you for your time.